Morning everyone at the Cure Center. How are you? Heather here. And I guess it isn't morning yet, but I'm having a hard time this week getting motivated. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this book I read and reread and reread. It is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's really good. And this was the very first book that I ever read on kind of changing your mindset and manifesting. And I still have it, and I reread it. I reread parts of it, particularly. Maybe not from cover to cover, but... So I wanted to talk a little bit about something that he mentions in his book. Hi, as I suck down tea here to get some energy. So what he talks about is our brains are, do men have 4 brains? At least 2 that I know of, anyway. So, talking about, like, our brains are like the ultimate computer. I think I have mentioned that before. Our brains are like the ultimate computer. And when we are changing our mindset or setting our mindset, our brains, we have like these 3 parts to our brain. Not physically, but in his theory, okay? 3 parts to the brain, 3 brains, basically. And there's the thinking, the doing, and the being part of your brain, okay? And the example that's given is a pretty common one to many of us. It's that of driving a car. So when we first learn how to drive a car, if you remember back from when you were first taking driving lessons, you had to think about every little thing. You had to think about what that sign meant. You were really focused, like tunnel vision, right? So there's that's the thinking brain at work. Then, after a while, it became a little bit more natural. You became more proficient at it, and you had the doing brain going on. So you just did it. You just did it. But it wasn't you, really. It was you were just doing it, okay? And then after you got even better at driving, you were being it. Hi, Roseanne. You are being a driver. You just get in that car and you don't even think about what you have to do. You're not thinking about... the road signs, what they mean. I'm looking at notifications that popping by, of course, as soon as I come on here. You're not really paying attention to those things because you're just being a driver. You just drive, okay? And it becomes sort of automatic, unconsciously. You just do it. It's very natural. It's very second nature. And this actually reminded me of when we moved here in a new state. I had to get my license renewed, and I was scared to death that I would have to take the driving test again, the actual behind-the-wheel driving test, because that's what everybody was telling me. And I'm looking online, and I'm trying to study for the written test online and everything else, and it occurred to me that, you don't think about these things anymore that you used to think about when you first started driving. You just kind of do it, and so it's kind of ingrained in you, and you maybe don't know, you don't know the right answers. You don't know, to pick out an answer, but put me on the road and I can do it. I can get from point A to point B, right? So I'm being, your brain is in the, I am being a driver state. And it's really, that's the same with mindset work and manifesting. So it said that nerve cells, and this is true, nerve cells that fire together, wire together. So when you use the same nerve cells in your brain or in your body consistently, because you're making them fire and work at the same time, eventually they become wired together. They know that. So for an example, if you are learning to play the piano, you are learning and it's awkward maybe at first, but after a while of repeatedly doing that, these nerve endings in your fingers that are doing this, in your brain that's telling you which keys to press, becomes automatic, right? So, and the same can be said for rewiring our brains. So we have spent all these years, okay, wiring our brains, our thought processes, to be one way about certain issues. And like say money, for example, if we're talking about money and bills and focusing on bills and all that. And we can also kind of unwire those sort of and rewire them a different way. And it's not an easy process. It's not an overnight process, but it's something that's very, very doable and beneficial. Okay? So the objective being to change that negative thinking and those negative beliefs, those limiting beliefs that we talk about a lot, and thus change your thoughts. So there's three things. You change your thoughts and your emotional response to it, and then you physically or actively do something to change the actions. And I'm doing this because in nursing, this triangle symbol is means change. Your thoughts and feelings. When you do something, you're changing your actions and your behaviors. That's going to produce a new feeling, and your body's going to be able to memorize that feeling instead until, and you keep doing it until it is rewired in your brain. Okay? So, two examples. I mean, these are not for any specific person, but we're talking about money. When we focus so much on our bills. So here's our current wiring. We focus so much on bills when they come in. That's our thought. And that brings us to the emotion of what? Anxiety, because how are we going to pay these bills? So we've got that emotion that's coming up. So our thoughts are our emotion. And then what's our action? We're scrambling to budget our money or, figure out how we're going to pay these bills, right? If we rewire that instead change our thinking, start with our thinking, change our thinking, focus on the income coming in, never mind the bills, we're not focusing on the bills, we know they're there, let's not focus on them, we're focusing on the income coming in. We're going to feel the emotion that comes along with that. You want to feel that emotion that comes along with that, and that's going to be probably a sense of peace and calmness and security, okay, financial security. And then take the necessary steps, or the steps that you would take then with that thought and that feeling to move forward with maybe thinking about different revenue streams, thinking about, where else can I make money? And that kind of just makes the bill paying so much different. Easier maybe, but different. They're still there, but it's different. And we can apply the same principle to something like a relationship issue. So say I was a single female in my 40s, and I was constantly focusing on this feeling of being lonely. I'm so lonely. When will I ever find somebody? And what's the emotion that's going to come along with that? It's probably going to be sadness, depression, and when you're depressed, the action that comes along with that is going to be you're going to be more withdrawn, okay? But if we change our thinking, start by changing our thinking. So instead focusing on not I am so lonely, but I have all this freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want, nothing holds me down. And then taking on that emotion that would go with that thought, I'm happy. I am pretty happy. I am free. I mean, I enjoy life. Those kind of emotions. Hi, Christy. And the action that's going to come from that is that you are going to enjoy life more. You're likely going to get out more. You're going to do more things. And in effect, you're going to meet more people and probably not be single for much longer. So we can see how doing these three things, these three steps, okay, can really change our mindset. And it's not easy. Like I said, it's not something that happens overnight because we've had years of these thoughts being in our head. But if we change our thought, get that emotion that comes with that thought, and then take an action step towards that, those three things, those are three key things that I have found when it comes to manifesting anything in your life. So that is my tip for today. I highly recommend that book, actually. It is, I have to say, it's often free, so I wouldn't buy it because oftentimes they have it for free. But So I'd wait and get it when it's free, personally, is an ebook, and check that out. It is a little bit science-y. It really talks a lot about the science of it, and you know, the brain and your functioning, and neurons, and you know, neurons firing off and things like that. But if you get past that, it is actually very interesting. So that's what I have for today. That's my Tuesday topic. I hope it helps you manifest what you want in your life. Hi, Stephanie. And I hope y'all join me on Thursday for our prosperity rice thing, because that's fun. I have some up there. I actually have been putting it all around my house because I made that new batch, which we're going to make a batch in the class, in the workshop anyway, together. So if you're interested in that, come. And if you want to make it along with me, you definitely need just a container, rice, green food coloring, and herbs that represent money. So, you know, when we're talking about, I think Aaliyah did the prosperity magic. Yeah, definitely watch the video. It's going to be recorded, and I'm going to post it in here. Yeah, and so any herbs like that, like cinnamon, nutmeg, when you're thinking about money and magic, and we're talking about herbs, I was always taught to think pumpkin pie spices. So any spices, like allspice, any spice that you would put if you were making a pumpkin pie would be good for any kind of money magic, okay, any kind of prosperity magic, all right? But I'll also give you a whole list in the workshop. So that's what I have for today, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. I will see you later. Bye.